You just picked up your first ESD sling, be it our slick sling or our padded sling. I'm going to show you exactly how to set this up on your rifle and then also how to set it up onto your body. There are a few similarities between the two slings. Mainly the quick adjust is the same to it, but the rear sections are a little bit different, so we'll dive into those. Start out, one of the first steps before you go and set up the lengths to your sling is to actually mount it to your rifle. You start out with either using QD swivels or something like paracord guides. You can use HK hooks or U-loops, all sorts of different things. Pick the attachment method that you want to use. We recommend paracord guides for a few different reasons. One, it's because it's our product, but two, it's because it's quiet. QD swivels are great if you're moving one sling to a lot of different rifles, but they're a little bit loud. There's a lot of moving parts to it. They're kind of expensive sometimes. Paracord guides are a really nice, simple, quiet option to that allows you to customize to any weapon system. But to start that, you're going to take your sling. You can take your rear section or your front section. Doesn't matter which one you want to do first. In this case here, I'm just going to show you how to mount this with a QD swivel. So you're just going to go and loop that swivel through. And then you're going to go follow the sling back through the tri-glide and go and lock this in place. When this is finished, there shouldn't be a big gap between the QD swivel or the paracord guides, whatever it is, and your tri-glide, and you don't want a big tail going on through here. So proper setup should look something like this, and that's basically all you have to do there. Now you can go take this and you can mount it to whatever section of your rifle that you want, whether it's attached to the receiver or attached to the stock. That's the first step for the rear section, and you're going to follow the same process for the front section, going and setting this up properly. I'm a big fan of mounting to the stock for one of the attachment methods. So I will go and mount my rear section of the sling to my stock. I do so in a way where I actually have this B5 system stock here. I actually drill the hole through one section of this, so that way I can have a paracord guide go through here. So now if I'm doing any shoulder transitions, this is going to go flow over through here, back and forth in a really nice way. You can mount to some of the pre-existing holes through here, but your paracord guides could potentially pop over to the buttstock, and I just don't really like it getting through there. It's fine if that's something you don't mind. If you do so, I just recommend loosening it a little bit so that way it can free flow back and forth. But if you like this method, sometimes you got to drill a hole in your stock, and that's how you do that. Most of my weapon setups, I will go and mount to the furthest points on the gun. Some people like to mount to the closest points, i.e. both ends of the receiver. Some people like a mix and match where it's to the front end of the gun and then to the receiver, or it's the stock to the receiver. Like it's a mix and match personal preference kind of thing. The benefits of mounting really close in together is you get a lot of maneuverability. So if you're going to go and manipulate that rifle, it gives you a lot of freedom through there. The downsides of that is stability whenever you're not using the rifle. So if you're going to be climbing up a ladder or anything like that, you have a little bit less stability through there. And then if you're going to be loading that sling in any sort of precision shooting aspect, whether it's using the sling for just shooting in general, you lose a little bit of that stability by having it to the two closest points. If you mount to the furthest ends, you're going to gain the most stability, whether it's climbing up a ladder and having the rifle not move as much on you, or if it's going and trying to take a precise shot. That's going to create the most stable shooting platform. Now, mix and match through there, the main reasons people sometimes do that is they want a little bit more stability, but a little bit more flexibility, or the way that people reload, they want to make sure that their sling is getting out of the way of their mag well, so that way they don't make contact to that or jam their magazine into the sling or anything of the like. A lot of it's personal preference. Again, I like the two furthest points. I like the stability component of things. And so a lot of it just depends on what you like. I recommend you explore a little bit, try out different things, figure out what setup works best for you, whether that's on the flat range and you're running drills with reload drills, transitions, or if it's you're doing some sort of CQB or climbing up obstacles or getting in and out of vehicles. It's really going to depend on you, the end user, as to how you set up your rifle through there. So for me, what I like to do is I like to adjust the sling in a way that it's going to sit on my sternum through here. So what I mean by that is when I have the sling set up like so, my stock is about sternum height through here. And the reason being is if I go and I want to go take a precise shot, I can now cinch up everything through here, have the sling fully tightened, and now I can cut out all the slack in the gun. This means I have a more stable shooting platform. I can kind of have one-handed operations to a degree through here, but it means that I'm going to have a lot more precise of a setup with a lot less effort. If I need to go and loosen it up a little bit, I can simply pull the sling back, and then I can kind of get that dynamic movement, whether I'm doing reloads or moving through a building or vehicle, whatever it may be. So to set this up properly, I'm going to show you exactly how you adjust this. It's actually really simple. You're going to take the rear section of your sling, and you're simply going to slide the tri-glide that is sewn into the actual sling itself in the direction you want to go to either increase or decrease the size. If you want to make this a little bit larger for you, slide it towards the tag or past the tag and keep going. So that's going to go and increase the length when I slide it like so. And if I want it to be a bit tighter, I'm going to slide it towards the tag or past the tag towards the end section going through. And that's all you have to do to go and position this right. So for me, again, I like to have the stock sitting up towards my sternum. But if you want it to be a little bit looser, go and make that a little bit looser. Like, it's really up to you as to how you like the weapon to feel. But if you want to be able to use the sling to go and kind of tighten your groupings and shoot with a little bit less effort, then you want to make sure that when you go and compress that sling, there's not a lot of extra room to it. So get it up to that tension level that allows you to operate through that. Really simple setup. The padded sling is a little bit different just because we need to navigate the pad, but it's the same kind of principle in adjustment for overall length to go and get this to set and fit the same as the traditional sling. Before I dive into setting up the padded sling, I'm just going to quickly show you how to go stow the traditional ESD sling. All you're going to do is you're going to take your rear section of the sling, slide the front section down, and you're going to take this rear section, depending on the length, you might want to fold it in half a little bit, and you're going to slide it into the elastic retainer here. Once you get that through, you want to just pull everything tight, so that way the sling's not dangling and is nice and clean up against the side of your rifle. So really simple operation. Sometimes you have to workshop a little bit depending on where you have everything mounted. If you're mounting to both ends of the receiver, I recommend you take the extra slack and wrap it around your buttstock. That'll go and give more tension because you have a lot more material that's not spread out as well. So let's dive into the padded sling. So padded sling is the same principle. You want to adjust the overall length to be set and optimized for you. The only difference to that is you have a pad that you also want to position to the right place. A lot of normal padded slings don't allow you to make a lot of adjustment. They only allow adjustment from one section of the sling. So you sometimes will have the pad not in the optimized location. What we did differently is we have two different locations where you can make the adjustment. So we're going to dive into exactly how to do that. Just like we talked about in the beginning of this video, you want to go and mount your QD swivels or paracord guides to your rifle in the way that you want it set up. So for example, here I have a paracord guide mounted to the rear section of my stock. Now, if I want to get this pad positioned properly so it's over my shoulder, I need to go and make sure that I adjust the pad into that proper location. If I mount to the receiver of an AR, I might want to extend out and use more of that webbing to go and get that pad in the optimized position. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that right now. So taking my 18-inch SPR, I'm going to slide this guy to the side a little bit. So I want to show you where I think an optimized padded sling is on the rifle. So I'm just going to go put this on. When I am in my slung position, I want to make sure that that pad is making contact to my neck and my shoulder through here. I do so with one arm slung through. If I have both arms slung through, same kind of concept. I want to make sure that that pad is spread across my neck and I don't have any raw webbing that's going to be up against my neck. The whole point of the pad is to go and give you a little bit more comfort through there and get away from the raw webbing. If you're just using a traditional ESD sling and you have a collared neck or your neck is really tough, then you don't have to worry about that in any of the placement through there. But with the pad, we want to make sure the pad's actually in the right place and it's doing its job. So to do so, it's a really simple operation, but that's how we want the end goal to be. With the padded sling, you're going to go and mount from the rear section first. You have two tri-glides that are on here, and the purpose of this is depending on the length that you're going to be set up, you might need that extra tri-glide to go and contain the excess webbing. So if you mount really far from your receiver, so if I'm mounting off of a receiver plate here, and I want that pad to be in the optimal location, I might end up having a big gap through here, where now this extra webbing is not going to be able to be stowed inside of the actual sling. So the extra tri-glides to go and allow you to go and lock that up through here. However, in the case for me, I don't have to worry about that based on where my sling is mounted. So we'll go and show this process like so. In this instance here, I can go remove the extra tri-glide. So I'm just going to slide that off. And now I can take my QD swivel, And I can slide that onto the webbing and then position the tri-glide in the appropriate place. Slide the webbing back through the tri-glide, just like so, and make sure that I don't have a big loop through here that's going to get this out of place. Now once that's set, I can take this rear section of the sling and I can go stow it inside of the padded sleeve and push that way all the way until it's flush, and now I'm good to go. So really simple operation for that section through here. Now, this front section is designed to set the overall length of the sling to the optimized length. This is just to go and get the mounting set up and make sure the pad is over your shoulder in the right area. This section here is going to go make sure that the sling is at the tension level that you want. So just like I talked about with my shorter rifle, I want to make sure that I can go and load that sling up properly to go and give myself a little bit more stability when shooting. I do the same thing for my longer guns or heavier guns. So I want to make sure that this section here is cut back to whatever distance it needs to be in order to prevent that sling from being sloppy or having excess movement. When you get your padded ESD sling, to adjust the front section of the pad through here, all you need to do is grab onto your webbing and you're just going to go and pull it to the length that you want. If you went too far to go and tighten it, then you simply pull it the direction back to get that set to where you need it to be. Once you have your webbing set, like so, this is the length that I want it to be, I'm going to go take this section through here and I'm going to go tuck it into the sleeve section of the pad. From there, I can go take a ruler and I can go and index off of that folded over and bar tacked section and then insert that all the way like so, and then I am done. Really simple, easy process. Sometimes the tri-glide here is actually set so it can be moved, so you can go and lock that final position if you want in here and basically prevent it so there's no chance of anything popping out through there. If you're running into any difficulties, simply just slide that to the front section when you're going to go and insert that webbing through there. But overall, really simple process. Once you're done with that section there, then I recommend stowing the tail. That's going to be attaching to your receiver or stock. I recommend stowing that secondary. Again, overall, really simple, easy process. So once you've gone and tucked away all the extra webbing, then you're good to go. Your sling's all set from there. Now, if you were born as a genetic anomaly and you are like 7 feet tall or something along those lines, just a very big individual, you might run into the point where you think that there's not enough room to get the pad adjusted where you want, especially if you want the pad adjusted to this rear section and you've gone and you've taken this and you've maxed this all the way to the edge through here and you still are like, hey, I need a little bit more length. Well, we actually thought about that. So if you take this section through here and you go and feed this out of the tri-glide that's built into it, what you can now do is take that spare tri-glide that you would be using for the sling if you had the excess webbing through there, and you can go and weave this back onto here, just like so, and then go and weave that section through your front, and then weave it back through the tri-glide, just like so. So if you are LeBron James, Andre the Giant, Yao Ming, anyone who is just a massive individual, you now have the coverage for you where you can still have the pad in the optimized location and somehow get the sling to fit you. It's a very small chance that you are someone like this, but if you exist, we have designed the perfect sling for you. So that's the overall setup of how to get the padded sling and the regular ESD sling set up to your rifle, to your body, and optimize it through there. Everyone's going to be a little bit different in size. Everyone's going to be a little bit different in training and what they like for their sling. So at the end of the day, really it's up to you to explore. Try a few different things out, see what you like the most, and yeah, notate it, keep track of it, so that way you can do that for all of your other rifles and all of your other slings. But at the end of the day, it's your rifle, it's your body. You can set it up exactly as you want it to be. This is just what's worked well for me and what works well for a lot of the guys in the team and what we've learned from our own experiences and from that of special operations guys or really good shooters and training, whatever it may be. These are the systems that have worked really well for us. To go and stow the sling into itself for the padded sling, it's a very simple operation. It's kind of the same as the normal padless version, but you have one other option to it too. So you can take the rear section of your sling traditionally, and you can go stow it into your front section, just like so. And then all the extra material, you can kind of tuck away behind and keep some tension through there. I recommend doubling back on sometimes if it feels like it's a little bit loose. That'll go and ensure that there's no slack through the gun and get you set up really well. Now, if the way that you have your sling adjusted doesn't give you a lot of this front section, or if you have it further away from your stock or your receiver and it's not getting it tight enough up against your rifle, you have two different things you can do. You can take the front section and actually go and stow that into the pad itself, just like so. And this was designed to do so because the way that the four-way stretch material here works, it'll go and give you a little bit of slack and allow you to go and drive that webbing back into the pad. And then it'll go and apply tension to it so that way when you have it set into its final position, you don't have to worry about it being loose or anything of the like. It takes a little bit of getting used to and work through here, but once you can get that into that right position, you can get that nice and tight through there and then cinch up the rest. And when you want to deploy it, you simply pull on it like that, and you're good to go. The other thing that you can do, again, is if you're mounting from the receiver side, is you can go wrap this around the buttstock and then go, again, mount from the padded section into the front section or from the front section into the pad. Again, it just depends on where you have everything mounted, if you need to take a little bit of extra slack. Sometimes people will even go and wrap around their pistol grip. That's another great option too, depending on how you have your rifle set up. So that about covers it for the ESD Sling install and setup overview. This is for the non-padded version, which is our original ESD Sling, and the padded version of our ESD Sling. Both really simple operations. It doesn't take a lot of rocket science to go through and figure this out, so I know you guys are more than capable. And hopefully here you can kind of have a better understanding of how to optimize that pad to make sure it's actually being used properly, or to go and set your overall length to be optimized for shooting and for movement and everything like that. So let us know what you think. If you have any questions with setup or you're running into any issues, shoot us an email. We have a great contact page and an awesome customer service team. They'll go and take care of you. Make sure that you're set up and your rifle's optimized with our stuff. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything like that, or you just want to support, you like videos like this, leave a comment below. We really appreciate the feedback. We're excited to keep releasing more videos and even more excited to keep releasing awesome new products. So thanks so much for tuning in, and we hope that you enjoy your sling.